again, this is so nice to see the support that our officers get when they move up the ladder here in the Grange Park. And we're blessed to have family and friends here with them as they proceed forward. So I'd like to call our meeting to order. And Matt, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nick, you can stick around to close our meeting, okay? Sure, Nick. Amanda, will you call the roll?
Trustee Messick.
Here.
Trustee Rocco.
Here.
Trustee Sheehan.
Here.
Trustee Casera.
Here.
Trustee Lautner.
Here.
Trustee Zora.
Here.
President DeCipio.
Here.
Quorum is present, sir.
Thank you, Amanda. So next on our agenda is the swearing-in ceremony of probationary police officer Nick Spurlash. Nick? Again, this is such a privilege to be here with Nick tonight. It's quite an accomplishment as they move up the ladder here in our village, and we're so proud to have both of these individuals represent us out in the community. Officer Spurlash was employed as a full-time police officer in the village of Payless Park from June of 2013 to April 2017. In addition, he served as a part-time police officer in the Grange Park Police Department from June of 2016 to April of 2017, when he was appointed by the Board of Police Commissioners to full-time status on April 17, 2017. He has received his bachelor's degree from the Illinois State University in Criminal Justice. He graduated from Cook County Sheriff's Police Academy held at Triton College. He recently has been selected to become the Adopt-a-Cop officer for grades K through 4 at St. Louis de Marillac Church School. And he has always comes to work with a very positive attitude and a smile a mile long, and he shows those beautiful teeth. So, thank you, man.
Hereby solemnly swear
that I will uphold and defend
that I will uphold and defend
the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully carry out
and I will faithfully carry out
all duties
all
imposed upon
imposed upon
and entrusted in me
and entrusted in me
as probationary police officer
as probationary police
for
officer
the Village of LaGrange Park.
for the Village of LaGrange Park.
We'll have Nick introduce his fiancee, who's going to pin on his badge. Is there anybody else? Okay. So, as you see, can't get on the phone. So, we'll have Nick put this on. That's great. Words I will say about Nick is he's been with us for a little bit over a year. He had an ongoing interview with us for a whole year as a part-time officer. He proved his worth, of course. The Police Fire Commission, led by our president who's here tonight, Don Burka, voted him in, and of course he became now full-time with us as of April. He has one of the best gifts of kindness that I guess I would put in an officer, because I've never seen a bad day with Nick yet. And that's going to be something that's going to go a long way for him in this career. He's going to make worth of himself. He's made already good relations, and that takes usually time to rapport and build, but he's done that right away for us. I couldn't be more proud again as the chief to sit up here for the things that are going to happen today. But again, Nick represents us very well, and we expect big things from him in the future. So thanks, Nick.
I'm glad to be here. I just want to thank the board, the village, the chief, and everybody that helped me get to this point, my coworkers and all my friends, and then my fiance Kim and the rest of my family. Thank you.
So I don't know if everybody picked up on that, but when Chief introduced Nick and then his fiance, and he asked if anybody was out with his hair, he said, no, just my fiance. So he's learning quickly, isn't he? Good job, Nick. Okay, next we have the swearing in of Matt Fellers to the office of Sergeant of Police. Matt started his career as a DJ and as a rock star. If anybody attended our National Night Out, Matt took the MC job and took the mic, and he was phenomenal. And I think he's going to go on tour soon. So Matt started his career with the department in March 23, 2006. He was promoted to officer in charge in June 2016. He is presently a Adopt a Cop officer for the 6th grade at Forest Road School. He has been the MC for our National Night Out, and has even received recognition for his efforts at this event. Was I wrong? He has received yearly certificates of appreciation from the Alliance Against Intoxicated Mortars for his positive DUI enforcement. He presently assists as an instructor at the Cook County Sheriff's Police Training Academy for new recruits at Trenton College. Officer Fellers assisted with closure on an aggravated battery case in which he received recognition from the Cook County Assistant State's Attorney overseeing the case as well as the victim. He praised his efforts for support and understanding needed to allow her to survive the whole ordeal. Suspect was found guilty and received 6 years sentence at the man received a thank you for his efforts and the assistance given to the family who was involved with an aggravated armed robbery and home invasion. The victim wrote, Officer Fellers was great and very helpful during the entire difficult process. He positively answered all of our questions and made us feel very safe in our home after the unfortunate incident. A personal thank you for caring about us and our well-being. Also, Officer Fellers received a thank you from a resident who called 911 in reference to her 27-year-old son who was out of control and threatened to kill everyone in the home. She stated he took complete professional control of the situation and was able to calm down my son. This assisted with him receiving the help he immediately needed. At the same time, he kept us all safe and secure. We are so privileged and blessed to have Matt with us on our force and moving up the ranks. And Matt, from my heart, it's a wonderful honor. Thank you.
Swear that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and I will faithfully carry out all duties imposed upon and entrusted in me as Sergeant of Police for the Village of Grange.
My mother Susan will be paying me. And my brother Michael, who is also a police officer in Westchester.
See if those chest workouts are working out.
into this phase. First, I want to welcome all of you for coming. Officers that are out there, I see plenty of you. Staff that are here, I can't say enough. Friends and family, this means a lot. But the fact of the matter is, Matt has gone through some trial and error to get where he stands today, okay? And I say that because it's growth. It's a positive thing. I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that because you learn. You learn from what you do. We had some heart-to-heart talks for the last 10 to 12 years of Matt's career to say, Matt, you're better. Matt, I expect more. Matt, you can do it. And guess what? Matt left the room, and Matt's here today because he did just that. I couldn't be more proud of what Matt has accomplished. So to put the gold on him today is an honor. The people that are out there in the crowd, you know what it's like to get even to this point. Okay, it takes a lot of time, effort, and commitment. And he's done all that for us. Again, from our village staff as well as our board, we could not be more proud of giving him what he's earned tonight and for all you to share in this tonight. So thank you for coming. Matthew, thank you.
This is the revised shorter edition. The other one was real small print. I'll be quick. First, I'd like to thank Chief Rampa for that introduction. I'd like to thank my family for being here, specifically my mother and brother for their love and support, and Mom for not stabbing me just now. I appreciate that. We did practice that a few times. A couple successful, a couple not successful. I want to thank my friends in attendance and my colleagues, co-workers. I look out over the audience and I see friends who I met through this job, friends with the state police, Hinsdale, and Cook County Sheriff's Department, retired officers, current officers, and it means everything to me that you're here, so thank you. I'm truly honored to be given the opportunity to be a leader. I realize that leadership is only a position, but a behavior and an attitude that you need to maintain every day and every shift. Ultimately, leadership is not about glorious crowning of self-achievement. It's about keeping your team focused on a goal and motivated to do their best to achieve it. Especially in this career where the stakes are high and the consequences really matter, it's about laying the groundwork for others' success and then standing back and letting them shine. I appreciate the village and Chief Rampa for giving me that chance to carry that out. I truly look forward to working alongside and leading such a professional and capable staff of officers that the Grange Park Police Department has. I want to end today by reciting the police officer's prayer. Lord, give me the courage to face and conquer my fears. Give me the strength of body to protect others and the strength of spirit to lead them. Thank you so much, Village Manager Julia Still, Assistant Village Manager Emily Rodman, distinguished members of the Board of Trustees, Police and Fire Commissioner Don, President Scipio, Chief Rampa, and especially to the men and women of the Village of the Grange Park for your trust in me. Thank you.
Congratulations. Stanford has another block.
I know, right?
Nick, congratulations, and we're proud to have you. Continue the great effort and keep our residents safe, and we'll do anything we can to let that happen for you. Thank you to the officers in this room that came to support Nick and Matt and all that you do by putting yourself out there for us to keep our homes and our community safe. Thank you. I think there's parties afterwards somewhere?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I didn't mean, no, I didn't mean to do that. No, go ahead, go ahead.
It's There'll be refreshments and food provided at the Cordial Inn, which is at 31st and Maple. Just probably follow the chain of cars.
Good. Nick will be there as soon as the meeting's over.
Oh, yeah.
And again, to the family, thank you for allowing us to have your sons and loved ones support us and to protect us, and we're very grateful for all of that, so thank you.
Oh my gosh, so you had scheduled foot surgery?
Yeah. It went okay. And it was hurt like hell for a couple days, and then
Why?
now it's just inconvenience. I can't drive my right foot, and I have to keep it up all the time. So I had a meeting last night, wasn't able to keep it up at night, and so then it really starts hurting. So about 2 hours from now, it's gonna be. Nah, I don't want to bother with it. I should have done it before the meeting.
By the end of the meeting.
Yeah, I know.
So what on?
Emily.
Thank you for coming.
You know what?
For Kathy, a foot.
Susie, this is no reflection.
She had surgery too. Oh, for crying out loud.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ears are gonna be too high.
It's fine. Great. Thank you. It's fine. I just have to keep it up.
We have the nice cool weather and then they
It only hurt for a couple days.
having the windows
Yeah, much better. Thank you. I have this set up at work.
He said it's to one person. It's thanking me for opposing the Cook County's recent anti-business. Okay. I know.
Close that door.
Wasn't me.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time.
Tore my bicep a month ago.
You and Cindy were working out.
Yeah. Then we went the next day because I had the whole time to be looking at some car.
Were you an Irish tank?
No.
Okay, so we will continue with our meeting. Next, we have the privilege of having Susie Wirtz with us from the West Suburban Chamber of Commerce. Susie has taken over the chamber, and we're grateful because we want to be more involved in what we are representing. So Susie, would you please let us know what we can do and what you guys are doing? Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. Thought the crowd was for me, but apparently I was mistaken. But that was so cool. I kind of wish my kids had been here to hear all this stuff about leadership and, really, it's not about a position, it's about an attitude. And I like the fact that they were all here to support one another was really cool. So I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about the West Suburban Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We are a regional chamber, and we provide support for 9 municipalities, one of which is LaGrange Park, and LaGrange Park was one of our founding charter members, one of the charter villages. So that is, we're really excited to, still be partnering with you guys and supporting you and working together collaboratively on any venture at all, from economic development to promotion of events to the awesome new website that will be rolled out. But basically, I was just going to read our mission quickly so you understand a little bit about what we represent and why a regional chamber is a little bit different than a local business association or a local chamber, and how we work very well with those groups as well. We represent the collective voice of the entire region's business community. Our goal is to advocate for pro-business initiatives, public policy on a state and a local level. We drive the economic prosperity by promoting the thriving business climate in all of our villages and cities and towns and municipalities. We leverage the vast resources within our membership. We currently have 380 members, which are businesses in the 9 communities. We encourage innovation and the exchange of ideas and information and the opportunity to benefit all the communities that we serve. Clearly what we want is for every one of the communities to be successful, for the businesses to want to come here, for people to want to live here, to send their kids to school here, and to stay here, for kids to then grow up and want to stick around and work here, like these 2 young gentlemen that I saw tonight. I noticed that they both mentioned Triton College, and one of our partnerships now is with Triton, and we will be doing a manufacturing day with them in October, where the kids from LT, Riverside Brookfield, and the 2 Morton high schools are going to be able to go to Triton in the morning, do a project, and visit some manufacturing companies, because as we all pretty much know, college may not be for everybody. It might not be for everybody right away. It might be for everybody. It might not be for them right out of high school, but someday they might want to go to college, or they might not. So that is one of our committees that we have. The West Suburban Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we have about 9 active committees. The workforce development is a huge one for us, and like I said, they're focusing on manufacturing right now. We have a women in business, which is very, very active, and that just try to support that demographic. We have a regional young professionals to try to also support that demographic, to make sure that we're keeping the young people engaged and excited to be here and work here. The other committees we have are, trying to think now, we have an ambassadors, which is supposed to run around and try to help get new members. Speaking to that point, one of the things that I will be much more involved and would be excited to do with you guys is any of your ribbon cuttings, support your new businesses, introduce them, and get more people to come here to the businesses. On Friday, I know we have the Wheel Thing is opening, and I'll be at that ribbon cutting. And Julia and I spoke in great detail over the past couple of months about what is it, where's the value? What is it that you guys want from the chamber, and what do we, how can we support you? We have 2 full-time staff. And I think that we both, every single day, that's what we do. I was mentioning to President DeCipio and Julia earlier today, I met with the Oak Brook Chamber of Commerce executive, and I'm reaching out a lot to the various chambers all around us. Berwyn, Burridge, Willowbrook, Westchester, Hinsdale. We are partnering and really doing a lot of collaborative things with them, because this world anymore isn't just about a single thing. You really have to find out what other people are doing, and how they're doing it well, and how we can support one another. So we do have a lot of multi-chamber events to which all the businesses are invited to showcase at expos, at different meetings. They are always welcome at a member rate to come and explain what their business does, and reach out and get even greater exposure at a variety of locations. In addition to that, we do your typical mix and mingles once a month, and any business has the opportunity to host one of those to, again, showcase their business, get more people in the door, let everybody know you're here, and we promote all of that. We have a weekly e-blast that goes out to 1,200 people, members, residents, community people, legislators, and we want to get the word out for you guys as well through that vehicle. Legislatively, I think is maybe one of the largest things that a regional chamber, will take part in more than perhaps a local business association. I brought a postcard for you guys, and President DeCipio will be there at our Talk of the Towns on October 10th. That is going to be where each of the municipalities will be invited to come and speak for a few minutes and be excited about your town and your village, and we hope that to be very well attended by the residents, community people, other business members, to learn about each of the communities and what they have to offer and why it's so exciting to be in this region, any of the 9 communities that we support. And again, what Julie and I spoke a lot about was what's important to you guys. And I want to hear all of that. So I will be routinely around, and whatever you want from us that makes sense, we're here to do that, to work for you guys, with you guys. My background is has always been in nonprofit and marketing and communications and that sort of thing, executive leadership. So I hope that I can bring a lot to the table to help you guys. If there's a gap or a niche that you might need some assistance with, I'm here for you as well. That's basically the Chamber of Commerce at a regional level.
Anyone on the board have any comments for Susie? Trustee Rocco?
Thank you very much for coming. That is great. It's just nice to put a face to the chamber, because I know we get your emails and what's going on. So, and it's nice to hear the enthusiasm and support you have. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Well, I've been there about a year, so it's taken a little bit of time. We had a changeover from executive director, so we're finally kind of like getting out there and meeting people and making sure that you know who I am and I know who you guys are. So.
Trustee Messick?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for coming, and I was very encouraged to hear about your manufacturing initiative that's coming up. I was at actually a TMA event this morning, and that is something we need to encourage. So anyway, this board or I personally can help. I work in manufacturing too, but that is something one of the things with all the initiatives we've had lately and minimum wage debates and all, there's good paying jobs where people can support themselves. So I'm glad to see some support for it out in the community and the regional chambers. And thank you.
Yeah. We do have several of our board members are very heavily involved in that, in workforce development and grants and getting interns into those positions and things like that. So it is, to your point, it's very important.
Starts with reaching out to the schools, which is really nice because it's not looked at as viable right now.
Right. Well, I will tell you that the LT teachers are fighting over who's going that day right now. I just heard from them. So they're very excited. They're sending 12 kids that day. Tim Kilray was saying that, the teachers are like, who gets to go? I want to go. No, I want to go. So we'll see who gets to go. Trying to think if I had any other. The directory is our other. I dropped a box off for you guys. We do an annual directory print, and I dropped a box off for all the residents to use if they come into your office. This is a printed version. It will also be updated 4 times online and pushed out to people 4 times. So any of the businesses in LaGrange Park that are in here and update anything, it will be updated and pushed out to thousands of people so they can talk about differences in their business, if it's a change of special or something like that.
Trustee Casera?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to thank the organization. It's a tremendous organization. A few years ago, I had the opportunity and the privilege to serve on the board of directors. Through job change, I had to leave that position. But the growth of the chamber, I was on an ambassador committee when I think we're down to about 180 members, and we started this great turnaround that's happening and turning the chamber into a community chamber. The legislative committee, that's a new piece. It's tremendous to get everybody involved. Trustee Messick mentioned schools. One of the greatest events I've ever attended is every fall, the chamber invites all the new teachers in all of our school districts and brings in tremendous speakers and welcomes them to the community and then takes them on a trip throughout the community. It's just a great event as well as others. Career days at school, at the high schools, I think you still do those. I had an opportunity to work at those. The not-for-profit organizations that are involved in the West Suburban Chamber is just a group of some of the best not-for-profit fundraising organizations that serve the people, I think, in the country. So I just like to thank the chamber, and if anybody gets an opportunity, please attend their events. Look at their website. You'll meet some of the most tremendous people you'll ever meet in your life. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Casera. Susie, it is refreshing to have you on board, and I know you've been working hard this past year because there was a time earlier before you came on board that I think there was a question of what our role was with the chamber and what the chamber's role was with us, and I think there was some change of leadership over there, and it's so, again, refreshing to have you on board because you have the enthusiasm and the passion. And I'm not sure, I think the board knows that on December 7th,
Right, December 7th. Oh, yes, I'm so glad you said that. Happy anniversary, first of all, to you guys. December 7th, we will be doing our one grand holiday party at Via Bella. And we are honoring the two main things that night will be happy anniversary to the Village of LaGrange Park and the Village of Willow Springs. So, and it is going to be a pleasure that will be the highlight of that function, is to say happy anniversary and to say, you know, what an anniversary is, the longevity, is the history that you guys have of back at you, because, you know, being in this community and serving these people for 125 years, it's pretty awesome, and I think it is well deserving of recognition.
thank you, Susie. Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for coming, and I wish you nothing but luck. The talk about manufacturing, has the group thought about reaching out to the trade unions, as there's so many jobs in the trades that they can't train people fast enough? Just leaving the house tonight showing it's a building boom again in Chicago. They broke a record for the most cranes, so they're doing a lot of building, but we can't keep enough people coming through the pipeline.
Right.
Have you thought about reaching out to the trades?
We will definitely. I mean, that hasn't been on the radar yet. We've been kind of going to the manufacturing companies to get the kids sort of exposure that way, but I think that's, you know, there's no trade anymore. I mean, they're not doing it in school. There's no shop. There's no, you know, things for them to kind of learn. So I will pass that along for sure.
Yeah, that worked for me. I mean, I came out of high school, went to college, thought, I want to do something with my hands, and, 32 years later, I'm a pipe fitter, so, by trade.
Yeah, so, I will definitely bring that. We meet
Thank
every
you.
week, that committee and I meet every week, so I will let
Thank
you
you.
know. Sure.
Thank you, Susie, for taking the time out of your busy schedule and coming here tonight, because this is what it's all about, is the communication and hand in hand working together, and the recognition certainly is wonderful, and we appreciate that. So that's what makes the chamber so good.
And I was just going to say that is kind of how this all started, with great communication and, two-way. So you know, if there's something you're saying, hey, you know what, we kind of maybe, could you do this? I'm as quick as a phone call, so.
Thank you, Susie.
Thank you.
Okay, next is public participation of agenda-related items only. Would anyone care to address the board about any agenda-related items? Maybe I can ask for presidential privilege here. We have one resident who would like to speak to the board, and it's not an agenda-related item, so can I move that up so this resident can maybe go home? Well, we didn't get board approval yet.
Second.
Everyone in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Now you're good.
now you're good to go. Thank you. If you could step up to the mic, though?
I'm recording, so you need to get your voice. Thank you, for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Mary Ann Porcelli. I own the property at 711 North LaGrange Road. I've owned the property for 32 years. We lived in the village for 23. We raised our daughter here. She went to LT. It has just come to my attention, and I've been speaking with Emily, and she's been amazingly helpful to me. My property is now zoned single family. I've been a two-family zoned building, and actually the building is one of the first homes of the Wiesmans, who were one of the first families that came to the area. So I'm very proud of the building. But back to the real issue. Any lenders will not lend to a possible buyer to a non-conforming grandfathered in without a letter, a rebuild letter from the village board. I'm so sorry, I'm a little nervous. And because I am now a single-family home, finding a lender for a possible buyer is impossible for me. There's been about 30 single, two-family and three-family units up and down LaGrange Road from Brewster to 31st that have been all rezoned to single-family. I was contemplating selling possibly in the spring or the year after. This is my 401k. And I'm realizing that I'm going to be having a very difficult time when I find a buyer. I'm asking the board if they could look into this situation. I know when the rezoning was done, nobody knows what the underwriters want from the banks. This came to my attention because I work for a mortgage company. So I'm asking the board if they could please look into my situation and the other, there's about 30 of us now up and down LaGrange Road who will fall into this problem should they want to sell their property. I don't know if anybody has a question. I don't even know if I'm making sense, if you're following me, but Emily has been absolutely wonderful in helping me.
Mary Ann, you're doing great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You're speaking with staff and Brendan and Emily and Julia, and I would continue that process, and then
Okay.
anything that they feel they can bring to the board, we will do that. We're here to help you, and we hope that we can work with you. We want to make your 401k as rich as it can be.
Yeah, there's the remapping. I don't know what the processes are, but if it's possible, I would like to be zoned once again as a multifamily home. So thank you for listening to me and for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
All right, thank you, and have a nice night.
You too.
I didn't read anything that was on.
You did great. Okay, next we have consent agenda. Amanda?
The items on the consent agenda are as follows. Approval of minutes, Village Board meeting, August 22nd, 2017. Work session meeting, September 12th, 2017. B, action 2017, leaf loading, transportation, and disposal. Motion renewing the 2016 contract with Rainbow Farm Enterprises for the disposal of leaves in the amount of $32.50 per bucket based on 18 buckets invoice per truck for a total contract amount not to exceed $35,000. And 2, authorize the village manager to execute the necessary contract documents. C, action motion to authorize the president and chairperson of the finance committee to sign the register for bills and authorize the treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of operating bills and salaries is itemized in the check registers. D, action motion to authorize the village treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of payroll and other bills that become due between this date and October 24th, 2017, with subsequent approval of the payroll register and voucher register by the Board of Trustees at its regular meeting to be held on October 24th, 2017.
I entertain a motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Amanda. Before we move on to Julia's report, I just want to introduce Alan Goodcase. Alan here's tonight. I want to introduce him to the board. He's with Future Technology Systems, and he's here to check our sound system. So I hope we're sounding good. Thank you for coming, Alan.
Should have been here last year.
It's all.
Thank you for coming. Okay, village manager report. Julia?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have 4 items to report on this evening. The first of which is included in your board packet, and that is regarding the electric supply bids for the water plant. It's time again to go out to bid for our electricity supply for our water plant. Our current contract is a 2-year contract, and it comes due in December. So with the rising costs of the cost of electricity, we thought that rather than continue to watch the cost of electricity continue to go up, we would go out and bid for the supply as early as we could. So at the work session earlier this month, we talked a little bit about the process. We received some preliminary feedback from the village board about that process. We go out to bid for supply using Satori Energy, which is the consultant selected by the collaborative as part of the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus group. And they go out and solicit supply costs for us, and those prices are good for 48 hours. So we're kind of up against the clock. And so we talked about the process at the work session, and we went out and got the bids for the supply. And that was done yesterday and confirmed again today. And you should have at your place settings this evening the results of the bid. And the results of the bid are somewhat consistent to what we saw earlier in July, except for, as anticipated, the costs did go up. We solicited bids for 12, 18, 24, and 36-month contracts for regular supply at the minimum state requirements, and also at a 50% and 100% backed renewable energy certificates. And so the lowest bid came from Constellation Energy, and that is included in the packet material. There was some discussion at the village work session that it might be advantageous for the village to solicit the feedback from the Sustainability Commission. So staff did that. Brendan went back to the Sustainability Commission to get their feedback on the process, as well as any preference they may have in terms of the supply. And that information is included in the staff memo for the board's consideration. With regard to the bid results that we have in hand, the cost differential between the types of energy supply, staff is recommending that if the board is in agreement, that we engage in a contract with the lowest bidder, Constellation Energy, for a 3-year contract, and also would recommend and consider that energy supply backed by 100% in renewable energy certificates. And with that, I will take any questions if the board has any.
So this is an action item. So if anyone would care to make a motion so we can get into discussion?
Move that, Mr. President, move that we proceed with the lowest bid provided as a result of the research that was done through Constellation for a 3-year and for 100% renewable energy resource to be accepted by the board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. I'll open up the floor. Trustee Laudner?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think this is very, very well thought out, very well presented. I know in many ways, it's a moving target that you have a very small window in which to make a decision, but I think there's been a lot of groundwork that's laid, a lot of effort that's gone into looking at alternatives, and I think it's kind of an added bonus that it's a 100% renewable energy resource for us. So I feel very good about the work that's been presented here to support this.
Thank you, Trustee Laudner. Trustee Rocco?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I am in support. The one question I just have is, so I noticed that the Sustainability Commission, one of the things it says, they're not supportive of a supply backed by nuclear energy. Obviously, this isn't, this Constellation, 36 months, 100%, we will not be.
Wind energy.
Wind. Okay, thank you.
Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. Julia, Brendan, Krista Grimm with her group, great job, as always.
I feel that the price comparison is very negligible, and that all you have to do is look at the current weather patterns to think where our answer should be, and that should be with the 100% green. I would support that, sir.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan, and I would also like to comment, Julia, thank you for all the work, and Brendan, and, you know, it's nice when we hear that we reach out to our other commissions to get input and recommendations, and that's what the Sustainability Commission did, so thank you for taking it there, Brendan. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Any other comments, Julia?
No other comments regarding that item. I have 3 other items to report
Certainly.
on. The second item is regarding a group photo of all of us here tonight. I see that everybody is dressed at their best. So we have a group photo to be taken tonight after our meeting. It is for the tile project to memorialize this evening and this time period and the anniversary. So just a reminder about that. Another reminder is regarding the ribbon cutting that Susie Wirtz talked about a little bit earlier. The ribbon cutting for the wheel thing will take place on Friday at 10 a.m., so we're looking forward to a good crowd there. We're very excited to have their doors open, to be able to provide new bicycles and bicycle supplies to our area, our community. And the final item is regarding the State of the Village address. So each year we do a State of the Village address to communicate to our residents the progress that we've made over time, as well as any progress in specific areas over the year. We look forward to it every year, and the format for the State of the Village that we've taken in recent years is with regard to each department providing their own departmental presentation. In talking with the village president, we came up with a new idea for the State of the Village address, and that would be to hold one State of the Village address in the afternoon at Plymouth Place. For those of you that are likely aware, each year we provide a State of the Village address here at Village Hall in the evening, and then a couple of weeks later we do a repeat over at Plymouth Place during the day. So we thought, well, why not go to where the big audience is? So the thought is that we would provide one State of the Village address, and the date that we're floating is Friday, November 3rd at 1 p.m. at Plymouth Place. So that's a confirmed date with Plymouth Place, but certainly if anybody has any concerns or issues about that date, please let me know. And I think I have covered all my items, Mr. President, unless if there are any questions.
Thank you, Julie. I'd like to make one comment. We understand the board, when we talked about this, we understand the board works. You guys have jobs during the day, and so we understand that. One of the reasons also is that the staff is going to be here during the day. It's not taking time out of their evening to come into Village Hall and give their reports. So, the State of the Village is a very important program, except we're not getting the full attendance that we would really like. It is getting, recorded. So we just thought we'd try different things to kind of shake it up. And we went from, just me giving the report, which I thought was pretty boring, to having the staff in each department give their reports. So we're trying to find a mix that works. And, we can change it up as we move along. But, please understand that I do understand we all work. So we'll leave it at that. Okay? Yes, Trustee Lautner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a clarification, is the thinking that the Plymouth Place presentation would take the place of a public meeting in the evening, so that we would not have a scheduled public meeting in the evening?
Correct.
Just as a comment, and to throw it out here, and I know everyone's schedules is very busy, that's for sure, and it seems like we're always asking our staff to extend extra hours, and that's very much appreciated. But I do think that there are interest and maybe the need to make available in the evening hours. And maybe it's part of another meeting or something, but I think it is important to continue to make that available to the village in the form similar to what we've done in the past in the after hours, rather than just in the afternoon.
Any other comments? Yes, trustee Rocco.
Trustee Lautner, I appreciate what you're saying. I think that you bring up some really valid points. However, I do want to say I think that if you've got to pick, I can appreciate wanting to pick one venue, like one opportunity, whether it's tough, whether you pick during the day or pick in the evening, and whether it's here or Plymouth Place. But I just because of the time that's involved, and to me it seems to make sense just to have the one, especially since it is recorded. I mean, I appreciate what you're saying, but since it is recorded and replayed multiple, times throughout, that I don't have any opposition. I kind of makes sense to do it once. And I can appreciate what you're saying in the evening, because I was thinking, well, maybe do the evening at Plymouth Place. You kind of do it all there. But I can also appreciate why staff spends a lot of time as it is after hours. That it seems like it may make sense to keep it during hours, business hours. Thank you.
Yes, I appreciate your comments too, Trustee Lawton. I think it's valid, and this is a fluid tank here. I mean, we're not set now on doing it just at Plymouth Place every year. I mean, we've changed the format over the years, and I think trying this out and seeing how this works, we may end up back here at night and invite Plymouth Place here, which is going to be a challenge. But I think that we have to try different things, because you guys are here, staff is here, we don't get many residents here, and so just to try something different, see if maybe we can draw some residents to Plymouth Place, and certainly they're Plymouth Place residents too. So we certainly take your comments, and we'll work with it and see what we're trying different things to try and make this thing work, because we think it is important. Trustee Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just thought of all the residents that would work and that have cut the cable or depend on satellite like myself. Could it be possible that after the event that we have the link from LTTV on the website, where somebody could go online and watch it that way, similar to what they do with our meetings tonight, and that would alleviate them rushing out for the daytime meeting and could watch everything streaming live nowadays.
Sure. Certainly the event at Plymouth Place during the daytime would be open up to the general public. We would continue to provide cookies and treats and coffee for those that wish to attend. We would record it, televise it, and we can not only run it on Channel 6, but we would also.
Great. Thanks. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. And, the format, I think, is going to change over the years, because I think Plymouth Place is a great opportunity, but, when Julie and I went there to present it, it was in a condensed version. So it wasn't the hour and a half that we had here at Village Hall, which is what we're going to do over at Plymouth Place. And I think the attention span and maybe the interest level will tend to wane over the hour and a half, because it is a lot of information, and some of it's relevant to those residents and some is not. So we're going to see how that works out, and maybe it won't work and we'll be back here. Yes, Trustee Lawton.
Just kind of pick up on that point, that was something I was going to throw out, is that we have provided a second forum, so to speak, at Plymouth Place. So we've done it multiple times in the past, maybe a little bit different format, one full, one condensed. I guess a thought I would have is, well, if we still want to maybe have two different formats, still condensed and have a condensed one here. I just think that in today's day and age, that we want to do more to reach out to our residents rather than less, and to provide opportunities for the village to see, hear, and hopefully understand all the things that we are trying to do on their behalf. So I just would be of the mindset that more is better rather than less.
Thank you, Trustee Lautner. So we will continue discussion and move it and see how it works with Plymouth Place. And the staff is going to be there, correct? All the department heads and everybody? So, I mean, you guys are here anyway, and you're not obviously going to be on the job because you're going to be doing this, so we appreciate even taking time out of that for the State of the Village address. Okay, Administration Committee, Trustee Lautner.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, I have a few items to report on and a couple of items for discussion and action. First of all, from the administration area, report on the time capsule burial that occurred on last Friday, September 15th, as part of our 125th anniversary celebration. The community buried a time capsule in front of Village Hall. The time capsule included a variety of community information, memorabilia, and photos, and is slated to be, so mark your calendars, it's slated to be opened again in 50 years, or the year 2067, for those that plan to be here at that point. A plaque marks its location, so I encourage everyone to walk by. It is quite an attractive marker, and I think it was quite a positive event that was fairly well attended. Community Art Project, the 125th anniversary celebration continues as we plan for the unveiling of the Community Art Project in Village Hall on November 17th. And for more information about this event and how you can participate on this with this project, is visit the village website at www.lagrangepark.org, and please hurry because submissions are due by October 15th. Upcoming on October 19th, that's Thursday, October 19th, our village's cleanup day is scheduled. For single-family residences in LaGrange Park, will receive a one-time cleanup service. This is a great service every year that's provided on the regularly scheduled collection day. 4 refuge stickers are all that's required to participate, and if you choose not to participate, your trash will be handled as a regular pickup day. Acceptable items must be placed next to your regular refuse on the curb by 6 a.m. For more information, please call the Village Hall at 708-354-0225 or our village website for a list of what's acceptable and what is not acceptable. And I think the list will surprise you just how many large major items that are acceptable for being picked up. So I encourage the village to take advantage of that great service. Haunted Trolley Trick or Treat coming up on Friday, October 27th. The LaGrange Park Chamber of Commerce will be sponsoring its annual Haunted Trolley Trick or Treat event. This free event will be held from 4 p.m. until 6:30 p.m. Parents and children are invited to hop on a trolley at one of several locations around the village, including the LaGrange Park Community Park District facility, Village Market, and locations along 31st Street. There's 5 trolleys that will be traveling along a designated route, dropping patrons at specified stops so that the children can trick or treat amongst the various businesses. For those wishing to participate in the Community Park District's costume party, hop a trolley back to the Park District after the event to continue the fun with games, a magician, and more. For more information, visit the Chamber's website, and that is www.lagrangeparkchamber.org. And that's the items I want to announce through the administration area. I have a couple items for discussion. First of all is regarding the Village Hall boiler replacement project and change orders that were required as part of that project for completion. Purpose of this agenda item is to authorize payment for additional expenses that were incurred related to the boiler replacement project that was discovered in the course of the installation. A little bit of background is that bid specifications were prepared by Hancock Engineering, and a contract was awarded to Core Mechanical for $44,895 to complete this work. The work preceded change orders that were necessary for asbestos removal, flue replacement, and replacement of controls, valve, actuator, and gauges. These were items that were not anticipated in the original scope of work. The project is now complete. These added expenses will be covered by our capital water and sewer funds. Staff is recommending that the board authorize this payment, which has been done, to Core Mechanical in the amount of $26,869.50 at tonight's village board meeting. Along with our packet, we received the documentation of the letter and an explanation regarding the change orders and why they were necessary that I trust everyone has reviewed, and a letter regarding the final pay that was estimated dated September 11th of 2017. So with that, I would like to make a motion to approve and authorize the payment to Core Mechanical in the total amount of $26,869 $869.50 for the attached change orders that were part of our packet.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion, trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. While first reaction oftentimes is and why did not we anticipate these, but these clearly were items that you just could not anticipate until you got into the project, as I understand how it went. So it certainly adds to making a complete new system now. That I think that we're all pleased that we finally have a stable HVAC system that's part of the building here. So no problem supporting this at all.
Thank you, trustee Lautner. Any other comments from the board? Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. For safety, the asbestos removal definitely had to be done, and the rest of the work that was done should preserve the unit for a long time and make sure it works good and is efficient for a long time to come.
Thank you, trustee Sheehan. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Kucera? Yes. Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next, trustee Lautner?
Okay. The next item, Mr. President and board, is an exciting project regarding our website redevelopment. And the purpose of this is to consider a contract with Civic Plus, who is one of the best-known developers in the municipality website industry, for the redevelopment and redesign of our village website. Some background is the village has had the same website provider and basic website design for over 10 years. And in July, the village released a RFP, a request for proposal for a complete website redevelopment and redesign, something we had talked about in our planning sessions. We received 6 responses, ranging in cost from $19,400 to, on the top end, $57,500. The village management staff has reviewed the proposals in detail. A number of factors were considered, including design build phase, local build team, technical expertise, time frame for the build, company experience, number of municipalities and websites that were completed, ability to incorporate our needs into the design, understanding of regulatory factors influencing design, appearance and graphics, pleasing graphics, user-friendly format, etc., training for our staff and users, number of hours, days provided, number of staff trained, website operation, ease of administration, ability to modify website from mobile applications, cost of ongoing hosting and maintenance, and access to technical assistance, and references, including the experiences of other local clients. Based on the above factors that were our criteria, village staff unanimously selected Civic Plus as the best firm to complete the website redesign. Civic Plus is considered a premier website development company and has developed over 2,500 local government websites, including dozens in Illinois and more locally Western Springs, Riverside, and Westchester. Civic Plus is committed to completing the new website within 6 months at a cost of $25,079. The annual fee to host the website is just under $5,000 at $4,917. The contract also includes a 48-month refresh of the website at no additional cost. The village has budgeted $40,000 in the fiscal year 17-18 budget across 7 funds, including the Capital Fund, Water Fund, Sewer Fund, and the 4 Business Development District funds. Staff anticipates there may be an additional cost associated with developing a new website outside of the contract with Civic Plus, including hiring a professional photographer, incorporation of additional applications, etc. As the contract amount with Civic Plus is well below the budgeted amount, this allows the village to commit financial resources to other components related to the website to ensure the end product meets all of our expectations and needs. Staff recommends the village board approve the service and license agreement with Civic Plus for website development and redesign. And with our package for review was the documentation, was the Civic Plus license and service agreement, and the Civic Plus proposal, which I understand have been reviewed by our village attorney. So with that, in order to proceed with the website design promptly so that it may be completed this fiscal year, staff is requesting the village board take action on the proposed agreement this evening. The village attorney has reviewed and approved the documents. So, Mr. President and board, I would like to make a motion to approve first of all, a service and license agreement with Civic Plus in the amount of $25,079.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Discussion, trustee Lautner.
Mr. President, once again, I think it's been very thoroughly considered. I went through all the documentation and in all the presentation and proposal, and feel it's very well structured. The one question that I would raise is it appears to be quite an aggressive schedule to get this completed by the end of the year, which typically I think I saw in the proposal and documentation I think it was positioned as a 6-month estimate. So we're certainly anticipating and expecting that they would be delivering this still by the end of the year. Is that clarification?
That is the goal. A large part of that depends on how quickly we're able to do our part in terms of editing all of the material, deciding how we want it laid out, providing photographs and things like that. So we've asked them to commit to the 6 months because ideally we'd like to complete it this fiscal year. Realistically, it may go on into the next fiscal year, and we can evaluate that as we get a little bit closer, but we want to commit them to that shorter time frame because that's our target. I did want to add one other thing I wanted to bring to the board's attention while I've got the mic, and that is that the contract that is included in your packet does address the ongoing hosting of the website, which is that $4,917, the annual hosting fee. That fee they are agreeing to hold for 3 years, but what's in the contract shows that there will be a 5% annual increase after that. I did talk with Civic Plus and asked them to reduce that amount. That amount seemed rather high. They have committed to reducing it to 3%. They've gone through their internal approvals to reduce it down to 3%. They just weren't able to get me the updated contract in time. So I just want to note, and certainly our village attorney can jump in, but I think the approval should be conditioned upon that revision.
Okay. And just as a clarification point, that subsequent to our discussion here and approval or not of my motion, I would anticipate that we would need to have the availability of our village manager to execute the necessary contract documents. So I'll follow up with that with a second motion.
Okay. Any other comments from the board? Amanda, call the roll.
Second.
Mike seconded.
Yeah, Mike seconded.
Oh, Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Amanda.
And Mr. President and Board, I would also like to submit a motion then to follow that to authorize the village manager to execute the necessary contract documents.
Motion?
Second.
The motion is second. Discussion? Discussion, trustee Lautner?
Yes, as you know, now that we've approved, then yes, I want to submit the motion that allows our village manager to execute the necessary contract documents.
Any other comments? Amanda, call the roll. We have a second.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And Mr. President, I believe that's the only items I had from the administration even this evening.
Thank you, trustee Lautner. Building and Zoning Committee, trustee Zora.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to report the building department activity for August 2017. There were 108 building permits issued in August compared to 100 last August. Permits issued year-to-date remain less as compared to this point last year. We are now at 626 permits being issued so far this calendar year compared to 668 at this time last year. Estimated construction costs for the month were slightly less than that of August of 2016. Permit fees collected this August were comparable to August of 2016. 165 inspections were conducted in August compared to 210 in August of 2017. 13 were not approved. Various village staff members met with the congregation of St. Joseph's general contractor, ownership, and staff to discuss the status of the project and various issues related to upcoming work and phases. Most likely, the new monopole will be constructed in October, and demolition of the 6-story building will occur in 2018. There are also a couple of photovoltaic systems now being proposed, but the designs have not been finalized. Initial architecture and engineering plans were submitted in early August for the proposed new restaurant located at 1017 East 31st Street. Staff continues to work with the building permit applicant through many issues related to the actual plans and overall project. During the month, a new in-ground pool was installed in a new home recently constructed in the 600 block of Forest Road. Based upon the size of the pool and properties in the area, a crane was used to bring the pool over the homes. And that's all I have to report for August. I also have an item that is up for discussion and action. In 2015, Nazareth Academy was granted a variance from the village board to install permanent lights on the existing football field. The purpose of the lights was to allow for evening practices and sporting events. The village board's approval of the variation of the lights was conditioned upon several items, including a restriction to 5 night football games per year and the requirement to obtain an exception from the village's nuisance regulations in order to operate their sound system past 9 p.m. during night football games. The temporary use permit application is supposed to be submitted in advance of holding the first night game. Due to an oversight, Nazareth Academy submitted the application on September 20th, 2017. The application requests an exception to the nuisance regulations regarding noise for the following football games. 2 have passed, September 8th and September 22nd. The future games are September 29th, October 13th, and then a playoff game, which is to be determined. The games begin at 7 p.m. and are anticipated to conclude by 10 p.m. Village staff may approve the event as a permanent temporary use in accordance with Section 153.195 of the Village Municipal Code, but cannot approve the event to operate past 9 p.m. due to village nuisance restrictions. Sections 93.04.c.5 of the Village Municipal Code classifies all loud and discordant noises or vibrations of any kind between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. as a nuisance affecting peace and safety. The municipal code permits the village board to approve an exception to the nuisance restrictions for temporary uses. As such, should the board approve an exception to nuisance restrictions specific to the identified dates, village staff will approve their temporary use application. Staff recommends that the board approves this. I'd like to make a motion to grant an exception to the nuisance regulations contained in sections 93.04.c.5 as amended of the Village Municipal Code for the purpose of allowing Nazareth Academy to operate their sound system until 10 p.m. on September 8th, September 22nd, September 29th, October 13th, and for a potential playoff game on a date to be determined.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Trustee Zora?
I have no issue with approving this, besides the fact that they decided to submit this after 2 games one game had passed, and by the time it got to us, another game. I guess I wanted to know, did Nazareth realize that they're supposed to submit this every year, or how did they forget?
Essentially, they forgot.
Okay.
And we had to remind them that it needed to be submitted. So we have a tickler on our calendar in case they forget
that's good.
next year.
I was going to ask
to
that.
make sure that it gets done in advance.
Okay. All right. I have no issue with approving it. I was just wondering what happened. So I think that we should approve it. I mean, 2 games have passed, but for the next 2 games in the potential playoff game.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. So we have a motion and a second. Any comments? Trustee Rocco?
Yes, Mr. President, this is absolutely, obviously this is great and pass it. Just one point I want to, I did get an email from one of the residents regarding the gate. If we could just make sure that they understand the policy regarding the gate on Richmond Avenue, when they can have it open or closed. I think it became, it was with it says tonight, September 8th, Naz game. I received a comment from a neighbor. So if we can just make sure that they understand whatever the rules are.
We did receive comments as well from a neighbor, and I know the chief has had conversations with the neighbor as well as with Mr. Moran, and so we have followed up on that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Rocco. Any other comments? Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. And just to confirm, I mean, I think last year was the first year that we approved this and had a lot of discussion about it, and a lot of residents, our second year. Any other issues that have come up from residents? I mean, this appears to be going very well by absence of people coming to tell us about it, but overall, going fine. Okay. Yep.
Okay. No other comments from the board? Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, trustee Zora.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Engineering Capital Projects Committee, trustee Casera.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, I have 3 items to report on. In late August, Dendler and Sons performed crack filling operations on designated streets in the village. This type of maintenance operations is undertaken in order to inhibit moisture from penetrating the pavement base in an effort to prolong the service life of the existing pavements. The second item, Davis Concrete, the contractor for the 2017 street paving program west section, finished installing all the concrete improvements for the project, and the asphalt paving work has been completed. Final landscape restoration work and punch list items still remain and are to be done by the end of September. Third and final item, K5 Construction has also completed the concrete work for the 2017 street paving program, north section. The asphalt paving elements have been completed, and the final landscape restoration work and punch list items are the only outstanding items remaining to be done on the project. This work is to be completed by the end of September. That completes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, trustee Casera. Public Safety Committee, trustee Messick.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will start with the Police Department summary of activities for August of this year. Total crimes are similar to last year, with 189 for the month of September, compared to 195 reported through September 2016. I think that actually should be August. Total police activity is slightly higher from last year, with 4,758 reported to date in 2017, compared to 4,579 reported last year through the end of August. Traffic enforcement continues to rise, with 4,072 through August of 2016, compared to 4,201 of this year. The Adopt a Cop program for all Grange Park schools will begin in October of 2017, with the first highlight of Halloween safety reminders being covered. In addition, a variety of school lockdown drills have been scheduled in October and November months for intruder alert. On Saturday, October 28th, 2017, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the lobby area of the LaGrange Park Village Hall, the police department, in conjunction with the DEA, will be hosting a drug take-back event. And again, we'd like to congratulate Sergeant Matt Fellers and Officer Nick Spurgash on the great opportunity presented them for working for the Village of LaGrange Park Police Department. And I would just like to add that in the current climate, and I don't want to go too far into the weeds here, we hear a lot of negative talk about police departments in general, and I will say, I'm very proud to say, it's not here. This department actually does more for de-escalation of issues than so things don't ever get out of hand and we don't hear it, and therefore our community is safe. And I'm proud to say that for all of our public safety. And that concludes the police department. On to fire department activities for August of 2017. EMS incidents this month are 148. There have been 1,133 year-to-date compared to 1,132 at the same period last year. Fire rescue incidents this month are 51, and there were 328 year-to-date compared to 314 at the end of August last year. Our new ambulance was delivered on August 16th. Once it arrived, various tasks and trainings had to be completed to prepare it for it to be placed into service, and we want to again thank the residents for providing that. Live fire training took place at Plymouth Place and the cottages scheduled for demolition. We hosted several neighboring departments who also participated in the training. Exercises were conducted in fire attack, victim search and rescue, fire behavior, ventilation, and rescuing trapped firefighters. Annual testing of our ladder truck took place this month, along with biannual testing of all ground ladders. Personnel assisted with the National Night Out on August 1st. We also sent an engine to participate in Westmont's Fire Truck Night on August 24th. One of our most recently hired paramedic firefighters resigned from our department to take a job with the Memphis Fire Department. And there were various calls over the month, documented for anybody to read. I won't get that far into reading them, and that concludes public safety, fire department report, and the public safety report. There are no action items.
Thank you, Trustee Messick. And Public Works Committee, Trustee Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. The following is the monthly report for Public Works for August 2017. The sweeper spent 65 hours cleaning 202 miles of village streets and picked up 40 yards of debris. Brush pickup took place the first full week of August, 101 day shift hours, making several passes through town, removing approximately 156 yards of brush from the parkways. Tree maintenance, trimming, and inspections was performed during 50 regular hours. 49 day shift hours were spent in the removal of 8 parkway trees. 20 day shift hours were spent repairing parkways from various jobs with dirt and grass seed. 66.5 regular hours were spent on the maintenance of public works equipment and vehicles. 138 hours were spent filling potholes and patching water excavations with approximately 20 tons of asphalt used. 182 day shift hours were spent on building and grounds maintenance around Public Works facility, the Village Hall, and along 31st Street. Curbs around school zones were painted yellow. Barricades were put out for 16 block parties. Work orders were completed with crews removing roadkill, making sign repairs, and attending to residents' concerns. Water Department operations, over 350 day shift hours and 93 overtime man hours during the month of August were spent on maintenance and repair of sewer and water mains. 32,580 gallons of water were purchased from the Brookfield North Riverside Water Commission. 1,481 water meters were read in Section 3. 54 monthly accounts and 22 final meter readings were taken. 5 water, sewer inspections, 16 meter appointments, and 31 service calls were performed. 15 water bacterial samples were taken, all samples passed. 190 utility locations were identified prior to excavation. 3 water mains were repaired, a 6-inch, an 8-inch, and a 10-inch water main. 4 valve boxes were repaired. Next, Mr. President, I have a expense authorization due to an emergency sewer repair. The purpose of this agenda item is to authorize payment for a sewer repair that was completed during the 2017 paving program. In the course of the 2017 paving program, a sewer lateral blockage occurred. The timing was suspect as it occurred just after the pavement was ground down. As it could not be determined if the paving work caused the problem or if the timing was coincidental, the decision was made to have the village's contractor perform the repair in order to keep the project moving on schedule. The sewer lateral from the house to the main was dug up within the street and a blockage was discovered in the line. The original scope of work called for the lateral to be replaced from the main to the curb. The cost was quoted at $9,485, with the village going 50-50 with the homeowner unless it was proven that the paving work caused the blockage. As the hole was dug, it was observed that the lateral connection at the main was in poor enough condition that a section of main was removed and new connections made to 2 homes. The cost for the additional work was $1,750. The additional expense will be borne by the village. The cost for the village's portion of the work will be paid from the road bonds as the repairs were completed in coordination with the paving project. The village will invoice the homeowner for their share of the original repair scope. Mr. President, staff is requesting that the board authorize payment to Suburban General, Inc. in the amount of $11,235 at tonight's meeting. So, sir, my motion is to authorize payment to Suburban General in the amount of $11,235.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Discussion, Trustee Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sure Director McLaughlin will agree with me that thank God it was done before the new road was installed. And that we didn't have any interruption to the homeowner. So nice job, Brendan.
Any comments from the board? Seeing none, Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, lastly, Mr. President, utility installation bid award, 31st Street, Northern Alley, Beach to Kemen. Staff is seeking the board's approval to award a contract to install new water and sewer mains in the 31st Street, Northern Alley between Beach and Newberry. At the September 12th work session, the village board indicated their support to solicit bids for water and sewer improvements to be installed in the northern alley of 31st between Beach and Newberry using an accelerated timeline. In order to achieve project completion goal of late November, bids were solicited from the following contractors experienced in working with the village: Cerniglia, Girardi Sewer and Water, Ratio Construction, Unique Plumbing, Suburban General, MYS. The bid opening was held today. The bid opening was held today. We had 4 qualified bids, and we ranked them as follows: Suburban General, $152,275. Ratio Construction, $178,770. Cerniglia, $180,515. And Unique Plumbing, $183,090.50. The cost of these improvements will be expensed to the 31st Street Barnesdale TIF and Business District funds. The general fund will loan the TIF and Business District funds the necessary amount until tax revenue is available. Staff recommends approval of a contract to Suburban General Construction, Inc. at tonight's meeting. Therefore, Mr. President, motion to award a contract to Suburban General Construction in the amount of $152,275 plus a 10% contingency for unforeseen conditions.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. It's exciting to see the projects getting rolling, to welcome a new restaurant to town. This is what we worked so hard for, everybody in this room, to get the TIF and the BDD going. So I would support this, and Suburban General, good relationship with the village, and you have to like the idea of $35,500 cheaper than the second place finisher bidder.
Any other comments from the board? Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
That concludes my report tonight, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Finance Committee, Trustee Rocco.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are about a third through our fiscal year, and the fiscal year to date, the general fund revenue is at 40% of the annual budget and $69,000 lower than last year. Sales tax is up about 1% this year, while property tax receipts are slightly above last year. Telecommunication taxes are down by 8%. Permit revenue is higher due primarily to new construction permits. Intergovernmental revenue is down about $15,000, primarily due to lower income tax receipts. The August income tax amount was down 19% compared to last year. Although the state income tax rate was increased in July, the local government share was proportionately reduced so that the entire increase in collections goes to the state. Furthermore, the state budget agreement reduced the local government share by an additional 10% for the state's annual 2018 fiscal year. Charges for services are up about $14,000 due to increased ambulance fee receipts. Fine revenue is lower than last year. The village received an additional past due fines from the state of Illinois debt recovery program last year. Miscellaneous revenue is lower due to the timing of the Verizon water tower lease payment, which is paid on an annual basis and was received in August last year and September this year. The total the total general fund expenditures are within expectations at 32% of the annual budget and about $419,000 above last year. The increase is primarily due to the new LTAC annual contribution, which is paid on a quarterly basis beginning in May from the police and fire budgets. And then, Mr. President, I have an item to report, and that is dealing with the water and sewer rate study. This purpose is to review the proposed plan for the communicating the water and sewer rate study to our residents. Baxter and Woodman recently completed a water and sewer rate study for the village. The purpose of the study was to review the long-term operation and infrastructure requirements of the village's water and sewer systems and provide rate options that will provide the necessary funding. Baxter and Woodman presented the study results to the village board at the July 25th meeting, and the board discussed the rate alternatives at the August 8th work session. Following the work session discussion, the board indicated support for alternate A rate option, which maintains the current water and sewer infrastructure on a pay-as-you-go basis. The board also directed staff to prepare a plan to communicate the rate study and necessary rate increases to the residents. The following resident communication plan was discussed at our September 12th Village Board Workshop, and this is the items in the plan. Creation of an infographic which summarizes the rate study and the reasons for the rate increase. Articles in the Rose Clippings newsletter. The infographic will be included in the winter edition. Rate study will be discussed in the State of the Village address, which I think is on November 3rd. And the rate study will be highlighted on the village website. Multiple e-briefs with links to the rate study information. Information will be broadcast on the village's cable access channel. Information will be available in the Village Hall lobby. Staff will begin implementing the proposed communication plan. Staff recommends that the fiscal year 2018-19 water and sewer budgets be prepared based on the alternate A rate plan included in the rate study. The Public Works Director and Village Engineer will begin plans for increasing the water and sewer capital projects based on the rate study revenue projections. The Village Board will review the rate increases and the expended capital plans during the fiscal 2018-19 budget meetings, with formal adoption of the fiscal year 2018-19 water and sewer rates slated for April. The rate increases would be effective June 2018, which coincides with the City of Chicago and Brookfield North Riverside Water Commission rate increase schedules. This was only for information. There's no action items, and that's all I have to report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rocco. Next, Commercial Revitalization Committee, Trustee Casera.
Thank you, Mr. President. The village staff, in concert with our TIF BDD Special Counsel, has continued to work with restaurateur Jason Koronek on a draft tax increment financing and business development district redevelopment agreement. Staff has also received preliminary inquiries regarding potential TIF BDD funds to support improvements in two other locations in the village. That concludes my report, Mr. President. If I could make a short comment?
Certainly.
Thank you, Mr. President. Exciting. I think we spent the last 3 or 4 years talking about TIF and BDD and many deep discussions, deep thought. Emily, again, thank you for all your work. Now we're talking about businesses looking to relocate and improve their properties and grow their businesses in the village. So it's a very exciting time, and we hope to see more. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Casera. It's a job well done by your committee and staff and the board, so kudos to everyone. Okay, next, Village Clerk.
I have nothing to report, Mr. President.
Our Village Treasurer.
No additional report, Mr. President.
Village Engineer.
Nothing to report, Mr. President.
Village Attorney.
Nothing to report, Mr. President.
Motion to approve committee and collectors' reports.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I have a couple items. First, the time capsule. If everyone, whoever was able to, Trustee Zora was there, Trustee Messick, and it was a phenomenal experience. I think Deanne did a fabulous job. Hintzman and the other sponsors that helped provide support. It was just a unique experience to see this thing get buried down there and the magnificence of it when it was presented to us and then opened and closed. So a job well done. Again, another fabulous activity done for our 125th year. Julie and I had the privilege of presenting at the IML conference. It was quite the experience. It was a great experience. It was quite a privilege to be on the other side and to speak. And I gotta say, Julie, you represented our village extremely well. You did a great job, and it was a pleasure to be next to you. Next up, discussion transferring powers and duties of the Plan Commission. Let me just get to my... So powers and duties of the Plan Commission to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The purpose is to provide direction to staff regarding transitioning the duties and responsibilities of the Plan Commission to the Zoning Board of Appeals and renaming it the Planning and Zoning Commission. The village has historically had both a Plan Commission and a Zoning Board of Appeals. A description of each entity and its powers and duties is attached. Due to the nature of their responsibilities, the Zoning Board of Appeals meets regularly, typically 8 to 12 times per year. The responsibilities of the Plan Commission are more limited, and thus the commission rarely meets and will often go several years without a meeting. The last meeting held by the Plan Commission was May 2013. So due to the infrequent nature of their meetings, it is more challenging to find residents interested in serving on the Plan Commission, and the commission often has vacancies. As a result, when a meeting is scheduled, it is necessary to provide a training session in advance to review with the commissioners their roles and responsibilities. It can be disheartening for residents to volunteer to serve on a commission and then not be called upon to attend a meeting for months or even years. Many communities faced with the similar challenges have consolidated their Plan Commissions and Zoning Board of Appeals. Staff has discussed the potential dissolution of the Plan Commission and the transitioning of the responsibilities of the Commission to the Zoning Board of Appeals with the village attorney and the village's special counsel. Both agree that it would be appropriate. Staff recommends dissolving the Plan Commission and transferring its powers and duties to the Zoning Board of Appeals and renaming the ZBA the Planning and Zoning Commission. In order to transition the powers and duties of the Plan Commission to the Zoning Board of Appeals, a text amendment to the zoning code is required. This triggers a public hearing before the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Zoning Board of Appeals would make a recommendation to the village board, and the village board would then be required to approve ordinances creating a Planning and Zoning Commission, amending the zoning code and amending the municipal code. If the village board is in agreement with this approach, staff anticipates the public hearing would be held before the Zoning Board of Appeals in November. The required ordinances would be considered by the village board in January of 2018. Staff is seeking feedback from the village board as to whether they are amenable to transitioning the powers and duties of the Plan Commission to the Zoning Board of Appeals and renaming it the Planning and Zoning Commission. If so, staff will proceed as outlined in this memo. Included in the documentation is the Plan Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals background information, Section 15106 Powers and Duties of the Municipal Code, and Section 2.30 Zoning Board of Appeals of the Zoning Code. So the reason we brought this forward, again, is perfectly explained in the description, is that consolidation at this point seems to be the best avenue, since the Planning Commission doesn't meet all that frequently, years. As a matter of fact, we have openings, and it's not that, we could certainly fill the openings if we wanted to, but the concern is that, again, they're not asked to provide any input or feedback until their meeting, and that can be years. Staff has to prepare the commission when they do meet, which is very infrequently again. So we just felt it made sense at this time to consolidate the two together to provide a more streamlined framework. So with that, I will entertain any comments from the board. Trustee Rocco.
Should I wait till there's a motion or go ahead and?
There's
make
no,
the
it's
comments?
just a direction, there's no
Okay.
motion.
So, yes, my feeling was this, as we know, we discussed this at the work session, because I thought this was something that was going to be on the consent agenda, and it was pulled because I was the one person who was saying, I'm thinking we maybe want to keep the Plan Commission. Normally, I could see why we're saying we should dissolve it, or not so much dissolve it, but assign the duties then to the zoning board, like some other towns do, and normally it makes sense, but it was just ironic because in the packet that we received for the work session, the following item was an item to, a motion to direct the evaluation of the 31st Street parking options to the Engineering and Capital Projects Committee. To me, this seemed like, when I read it and I got the board packet, I thought, boy, this is something that seems like it would be perfect for the Plan Commission. It follows under the duties. If you look at the duties that are listed under the Plan Commission, we do what's one thing, and I understand that the last time that the Plan Commission met was in 2013. And so it's been a few years. But one of the changes that we've made is that we now have 2 TIFs and we have 4 business districts. And so that's in fact why we are looking at the parking on 31st Street. So to me, this is one, now we are in a position where, boy, you know, maybe this is a time where we will be utilizing the Plan Commission. And I understand about filling openings or people are in it and they're disappointed that they're not serving as much. But we do have more people who've applied to volunteer than we have available openings from what I understand. So I think we would be able to fill those positions if we needed to, and possibly fill them with people who, you know, have maybe some expertise in planning in terms of parking. That would be a perfect example. So I guess I was, my thought is, I just have to say this, that I am disappointed that we did go ahead and approve the follow-up motion, which was the motion to, like I said, to direct the evaluation of the 31st Street parking options to the Engineering and Capital Projects Committee. And of course, as we know, that I wanted to table that because it seemed like the whole logic to why I'm saying what I'm saying is because that would have been something that would have been for the Plan Commission. And we haven't decided on the Plan Commission of whether it was going to be, built into, that's what it's up for tonight, I thought, the motion. So I guess I was disappointed that my fellow trustees did not table the follow-up motion because it only made sense to wait and to see whether we in fact were going to have a Plan Commission or not, because that would have been something that would have been for the Plan Commission. I also was at a personal level disappointed because I voted no on that motion to direct it to the Capital Projects Committee. And as I stated that evening, the reason why I wanted to table it was because my vote would have been different depending on whether there's a Plan Commission. Because if there's not a Plan Commission, of course I would have voted yes. So on record, I'm, voting no on something that I think, from what I think, is that we're already going to decide that we're not going to have a Plan Commission. It's going to be consolidated with the zoning. I just think we should have I would have liked to have waited and done it in the order as I just stated. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Rocco, and those are all great points. And this will come back to the board. This is not a decision we're making at this point. We're just giving staff direction. Once it gets to the zoning board, it will come back to this board. And whatever substance it comes back in, the board will decide whether they want to move forward with this. But I do appreciate your comments, and I understand the backwardness that it appears in your mind. So I appreciate that. And comments from the other board members? Trustee Lautner.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I very much value and respect Trustee Rocco's comments and understand the concerns here. But one of the questions I guess I have is, do we have people who are in the village who are looking for committees to serve on, and we don't have a place to put them on? I mean, are there people that are kind of waiting in the wings to perhaps step into something like this? That's one question that I have.
Certainly, I'll answer that. We do have some that specifically want a certain commission, like the zoning board. There are some that apply that maybe don't have the qualifications. They're just moved in. They really, I don't think we've had one or two in the past 4 years that really requested many commissions except the zoning board. That seems to be the hot one. Emily?
I'll just add one comment, and that is because in the past I have spoken with people who have submitted applications. And typically when they submit, they're somewhat flexible in terms of what they're willing to serve on, but the zoning board is the one that typically generates the highest interest. And they're a little dismayed when we explain to them that the Plan Commission, may not meet for several years. Then they're not as interested in that commission because the whole goal is for them to serve. So, when we get applications, typically they're all looking for the commissions that meet regularly. And they're willing to serve on other commissions, but that's not, they're not as interested if the commission isn't going to be meeting.
And from a timing standpoint, I mean, we're in no way, shape, or form are discussing doing away with the function. We're merely talking about moving the function into a different commission, right? Where there are resources available immediately to begin discussing and addressing this. So it's a, you know, it's clearly a move of committee responsibility, as I understand it. So I wanted to make sure I clarified that.
And, you know, I guess I would feel better if it was like the zoning board. There was a lot of activity, and I think we could fill it in a heartbeat if we had the activity, but unfortunately, it's tough to recruit somebody or have somebody fill that position when, exactly as Emily had stated, when do you meet? And they said, well, they haven't met in 3 years. So, you know, it's kind of, is it an honorary thing to be on the plan commission? And, you know, at this point in time with consolidation of duties to kind of relieve the staff of some of, because again, they have to be orientated because they don't meet. So every issue that comes up in the past couple of years that we've had, they have had to be reorientated by the staff. And so it was a suggestion that we made to, maybe the time now is to consider that. Trustee Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate everybody's opinion. Before I came elected to this board, I served on the Planning Commission for almost 20 years. Worked on the comprehensive plan at Point 8. And
Thank you. I guess this question would be for our village attorney, but when I understood what we talked about the parking from the last meeting is that wouldn't have been handled by Plan Commission. Would you?
No.
Okay.
That's correct.
So will we have to make a special case for it to be put into planning, or you just would not have put it in the Plan Commission at all?
It wouldn't have been in the Plan Commission at all. It's not part of what the Plan Commission would do. If there's a zoning issue related to parking, if we rezone an area to institutional so that the village can buy it and use it as a parking lot, as we did with the property along Beach, then that's a zoning issue.
Okay. And I guess for staff, do you have any idea how much time was spent when you had to retrain everyone? And I guess on that, then if you had to call the commission members, make sure they still wanted to be on the commission, and that if they didn't, then President DeCipio, I assume, had to reappoint or appoint new members. So, I mean, is there a tally of how many hours and how much money of staff's time is spent doing that?
Emily whispered to me that it was 16 to 20 hours, which it could be, but that's really, we can accommodate the training. That's not the issue. The real issue is making the phone calls with every round of appointments and hearing the disappointment in the folks that are serving on the committees. I mean, there just isn't the type of projects in this community that fall under the responsibilities or the purview of a plan commission, such as annexations or subdivisions or changes to the comprehensive plan. In our community and under our zoning code, zoning district changes and map changes occur under the ZBA. That's how it's done. That's how we structured our zoning code. Site plan review falls under our ZBA. So it's structured just a little bit different so that the role and the responsibilities of the Plan Commission are left with annexations. What am I missing? Comprehensive plan updates and multi-lot subdivision.
And there's no anticipation of that. I mean, are there any properties that you see that happening to in the village in the future?
I mean, you know.
I mean, I know something could
anything's
happen,
possible, but we're, you know,
there's-
we're landlocked, which, you know, really limits your ability for annexations. We recently did I think we did do one annexation, actually. Oh, that was for IHB. I mean, we have one piece of property that is underdeveloped, but that's zoned industrial, I imagine, and it's under remediation. I imagine it'll remain industrial, but certainly redevelopment could happen. I wouldn't say that anything's impossible.
So if, for instance, a property on 31st Street, a commercial property was torn down, and then there was some sort of redevelopment, then would that involve Plan Commission? Or did it still go to zoning?
Would just go to zoning. It wouldn't trigger any significant subdivision.
Okay. Okay.
Similar to the McNaughton development. And that's how the powers and duties are designated under our zoning code, that the site plan goes to the ZBA and the rezoning goes to the ZBA as well.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry for all the questions.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Trustee Messick?
Thank you, Mr. President. Trustee Zora asked a few of my questions, so I'm glad I'm satisfied with that. Just a couple of things. I'd say the McNaughton development really was the last thing that I can see, being landlocked and everything, that would require a plan commission. I don't see anything moving forward. And secondly, to I don't know, be naming members to a commission and then looking for something for that commission to do seems counterintuitive to me. So I would support folding it back into the ZBA. One question I had was if we did want to do a new comprehensive plan, and you know, I would have trouble with too much power being into one commission, and I was informed that then we would reenact the steering committee, so that covers that for me. That eases me. You get more village input there were we to do something like that. So I said I support this, and I think it should be something to do.
Well, one more comment, then we're just going to move on. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to respond. I'm fine with us, you know, going the way it is. I just want to, in terms of the powers and duties, when I read the powers and duties under the plan under subsection B, it says to prepare and recommend to the President and Board of Trustees from time to time plans for specific improvements in pursuance of the official plan. So I just respectfully question whether, to me, it seems like what we were looking at in terms of what we approved for the parking, that could fall under subsection B. So with all due respect, I disagree that I think it can fall under that. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rocco. So do we have direction to the staff to pursue? Okay, there's your direction. Okay, I have one proclamation. Whereas the Village of LaGrange Park and LaGrange Park Fire Department is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in our village. Whereas many of today's products and furnishings produce toxic gases and smoke when burned, making it impossible to see and breathe within moments. Whereas these conditions contribute to a smaller window of time for people to escape a home fire, with most having as little as 1 to 2 minutes to escape from the time the smoke alarm sounds. Whereas a home fire escape plan includes 2 exits from every room in the home, a path to the outside from each exit, smoke alarms in all required locations, and a meeting place outside where everyone in the home will meet upon exiting. Whereas a home fire escape plan should be developed by all members of the household and practiced by each member twice per year. Whereas LaGrange Park Fire Department is dedicated to promoting strong fire safety practices, such as providing public fire safety education in the schools throughout the month, and at their annual open house taking place this year on October 14th. And now therefore be it proclaimed that the Village President and Board of Trustees of the Village of LaGrange Park do hereby proclaim October 8th to the 14th, 2017 as Fire Prevention Week throughout our village. We remind all residents of this year's theme, every second counts, plan 2 ways out, and urge everyone to plan and practice your escape from a home fire. I have just one question, Julia, with the unveiling of the wall. What What time? Okay, so you'll let us know ahead of time. The time for the unveiling of the wall, we know the date, but do we know when it's going to be?
Not just yet.
Okay,
I'll get with Dan and I'll get that out to the board.
okay. Any new business? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.